Welcome one, welcome all. This is a rare Friday night episode of Sharks Night Shift, where your favorite hockey team tonight, of course it's the Sharks, they took on the team with the best record in the NHL. Coming in at 91 points were the Colorado Avalanche. So, who was the underdog? Clearly. Who was the favorite? Clearly. We thought we knew how this game would play out. In some ways it did, and in some ways it didn't play out just like that. Let's start Sharks Night Shift.
Broadcasting live and worldwide. Here's Brody Brazil.
Welcome to the live stream and what turns out to be a 5-3 Sharks loss by the Avs. Their 44th victory of the season, 44-13-5. They're at 93 points. They are way ahead of everybody else. Two things are going to happen for them. Number one, soon they're going to eclipse 100 points. They're probably going to get to the teens, 110 plus. But the other thing that's likely going to happen is that they will wrap up the top seed in the West. I mean, at this point, about 20 games left, 20 plus games for every team, and they've got about a 12-point lead in the conference. I don't see how it doesn't happen. But that brings us to the theme of tonight. You're the Sharks, you know what you're up against, you've lost 2 in a row, you're playing back-to-back nights, and even though the Avs are a bit shorthanded, it's still a very potent team. You know what they're capable of. So what happened tonight on paper, what was supposed to happen on paper, actually happened on the ice, is that the Avs won. Now, I would add in this layer, they were up 4-0 at one point. Now, this is one of those games where it goes two ways if you're the Sharks. They were down 2-0 after one period. They didn't play bad, but the scoreboard reflected that they had nothing and the Avs had 2. And the Sharks had that disallowed goal. It looked like San Jose had scored first. And what I thought was initially goaltender interference taking away the goal, well, that's not even what the Avs were challenging. They had another look at San Jose entering the zone, and sure enough, they were offside, and just like that, goal gets taken away. So that brings us to the Avs scoring first, the Avs scoring next. But okay, you're down 2-0 after 20. A lot of hockey left. If you get the next one, it's a lot more interesting. Instead, going down 4-0, yeah, that's a gut punch. And we've seen these games against Tampa recently, against Nashville recently. It's 7-1 before you know it. But tonight, instead of letting that happen, the Sharks get the next 3 goals. So I know it was a 5-3 final score tonight. I know that's what people are going to scroll on their phones and see. If you still read a newspaper, that's what's going to be in it tomorrow. Was it that? Was it a 2-goal win by the Avs, or was it a 1-goal win with the empty netter? And if it was a 1-goal win, think about the things that could have gone different/better for the Sharks. A couple missed opportunities. A goal did get taken away. How about going 0 for 5 on the power play? This was the same story as the Panthers game the other night. You had these chances, you earn these chances on the power play, and you don't capitalize on them. And unfortunately, this is the effect. You know, and when Carlson with the extra attacker makes it 4-3 with, a minute? Was there about a minute and change left? Yeah, a minute and 25 left, I think. Something like that. Minute 35 left? I'm trying to remember exactly. I think it was at 18... Brazil, come on. Can't even read my own scribble there at the bottom. Anyway, minute and change left. Bottom line is it goes back into all this woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. Now you're within 1. Well, that could have been the tying goal. Instead, it's the one that puts you within 1. I think the biggest takeaway about tonight is it didn't excite you all the way, because making it 4-3 is not tying it at 4. Like, what would send fans crazy, what would tonight would have for sure made tonight a successful effort, even with or without the result, would have been tying this game at 4 late. That would have been, hey, a statement. Instead, there's something about getting it to 1 goal and not ultimately coming through, that doesn't make the same statement. It is a nice effort, no question. Like I said, I want to paint it on a positive note. Down 0-4 or 4-0, and coming back to bring it within one, there's something there. But there would have been a lot more there had this game eventually been tied. Going back to the factors here, 0 for 5 on the power play. I actually thought Sawchenko played quite well. Curtis mentioned this on our show. Look at the goals allowed. Not necessarily goalie mistakes or individual breakdowns by a goalie. It was more so the Avs taking advantage of good chances, rebounds, tips, some skills, some persistence there. That's what they do, right? That's why they have 93 points, most in the NHL. But yeah, the Sharks going 0 for 5, when Colorado gives you that many looks on the power play, just think about one more goal tonight, or two. Two more goals, 2 for 5 on the power play might have won you the game tonight. 1 for 5 would have at least tied it and got you some points out of this one. Going back to Sawchenko, like I said, the final score is going to reflect something different. Let's obviously notate that one goal he was not in the net for. The other 4 were not regrettable on his side whatsoever. Are people going to bring up the stealth mode curse? Is that already in the chat? Should I? Oh, actually, I forgot to set that up, but I will here in just a second. We will do Q&A in just a second. So if you've got something burning that you want to say, go ahead and start now, or hang on until I officially get to that in just 1 second. But I do know that a lot of people, and it's a Friday, right? They wear them usually on Thursdays. Maybe it was just the one more opportunity, or it was going to be a while before the next Thursday home game. Anyway, let's see here. What else did I want to talk about? That might have been it, actually. I mean, there's something to it tonight. Would have been more to it if you tied the game. Erik Karlsson, the late goal was impressive to see. The turnover to make it 2-0. I know people will talk about that too. It's just, there is one more thing I want to talk about, and Karlsson is a part of it. Oh, I see people want to talk trades and stuff here in a second too, so we'll definitely do that. Because the deadline is now well inside 72 hours, right? Is it Monday at Monday in the afternoon, California time? So we'll talk about that, talk about a couple Sharks players that are being discussed. But first, how about this? 21 games left in this Shark season. And let's just dive through what they're about to face, how this is going to play out. Now that we kind of know, I mean, let's be honest, the percentage of a playoff appearance, that percentage was low single digits, and even with a loss tonight, it only goes down. At some point, you have to be honest with yourself about that. You're not aiming for that anymore. That was the theme of this entire season, I thought, from opening night. For the Sharks to get back to the playoffs, they have never not made it 3 seasons in a row. And that's about to happen. And it's not a huge surprise. They were not a playoff lock at the beginning of this year. I think that's when the real frustration would set in. If you were on paper supposed to do something and you didn't get there. I'm not so sure that anybody knew that for certainty. It was a chance, but that chance didn't necessarily work out, and some things went good, but a lot of things went bad along the way of this season. So 21 games left. Tonight's final score is not reflected on there, 5-3 against the Avs. So up next, you're hosting Arizona. Then you go to Calgary and Edmonton. Then you come back home for just one against Anaheim. And then you go out to Arizona and out to Colorado. And then you're home for 3 in a row. You're staying out west here. Honestly, you only have travel-wise Nashville, Chicago, Dallas, Minnesota. And then your last trip is, over the month of April at the end there. Las Vegas, a quick one hop. Edmonton and Seattle. So everything is out west. The heavy lifting has all been done. But the difficulty of opponents and a lot of division games remaining here, I mean, you're seeing Colorado, Calgary, Edmonton a bunch, Nashville, who gave the Sharks a huge fit in the first meeting, St. Louis in there. I don't know where Las Vegas is going to be when the dust settles. They got a lot going on right now. But I think you just have to realize here in these final 21 games, what is your season all about? If it's not about making the playoffs anymore, you're pivoting on your number one priority. So what is it about? Is it individuals trying to reach certain milestones? Is it a team that's going to make a statement in some way? I mean, I think a huge statement that remains to be made is playing for Bob Boughner, understanding a system and a structure that's in place. And, look, everybody's out for job security. Everybody's looking to make an individual mark. But I think if there is something to rally around, it would be that for their head coach. And I'm not suggesting that talks of any different, but you want to make sure that things can end on as positive of a note as possible. And if you're not making the playoffs, all right, 21 games, what do you want to do here? Do you want to try and get 14 wins? Can you squeak out? I mean, look, the Sharks have 26 wins right now through 60 games. So how many more wins can you get here of these final 21 games? 12, 13, 14? I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers. But if it's not necessarily going to be about getting to the postseason and we're going to stop looking at the standings, and yeah, that's realistic, then what is the end of this season going to be about here? Hopefully for the Sharks, it's putting together a few wins. And that's another thing. As I scroll up the schedule here, when was the last time that they were on a 3-game win streak? I mean, they flirted with it here, 2 in a row. I think the time before that, here we go, beginning of January, 6th, 8th, and 11th. Buffalo, Philly, and then back home against Detroit. And then 2 wins in a row right after Christmas, right before the New Year. But, 3 wins in a row, Chicago, New Jersey, the Islanders on that road trip, end of November into December. I mean, that's a long time ago at this point. 2 wins in a row there. Stringing wins together. I mean, a lot of teams will find themselves on a 4 and 5 game win streak at some point in the year. The Sharks had it in their first 4 games, and that was it. I would love to see a certain amount of wins, obviously in the double digits if you're playing 21 games, but I would love to see them string together a sequence of success somewhere in here. And not to mention, I'd love to see both goalies get healthy at a certain point so that you can have Reimer and Hill kind of see what that 1-2 punch looks like. These guys are both under contract for next year. This could very easily be your goalie tandem for next season. And I think I'm okay with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But wouldn't it be great to at least establish some rhythm that these two guys have not really got almost the entire season? Because literally since, I would say, November, one or the other has been hurt or COVID happened to the team. It's not been a 1-2 punch all season. And then obviously certain individuals, I'd love to see Carlson finish strong. I'd love to see Timo Meier and Tomas Hertl clearly eclipse the 30-goal mark. I would love to see them closer to 35 if they could. So 21 games left. Reframe your thoughts. Reframe what's left in this season. I think we can reevaluate at this point. Okay, let's dive into the old Q&A. Where should we start? Let's go to Liam here. Please tell the GM to sign a couple power forwards. Is that what you're saying? Or sniper right wingers. The entire Sharks forward group is lefty. I saw somebody point that out, and I was like, if you think about it, it's all those Canadian forwards. They all shoot left. Oh, Handle Dog is against the Hertl signing. This team is not going anywhere for a while. Let me say this about anybody with reservations regarding Tomas Hertl's 8-year contract. I have a feeling that none of you are saying how you feel because of Tomas Hertl or the player he is or what you expect from him. I bet you more people are saying that strictly because it's the 8-year deal. And it's the super long-term deals which might have put the Sharks in a difficult spot before. Right? Offers less flexibility. That's nature of business. A long-term deal is a long-term deal. A short-term deal is less volatile. Long-term deal is more volatile, and you really hope it pays off. I want to clarify that because I think a lot of people, when it's not, shouldn't re-sign Hertl for 8 years. Well, it's not because of Hertl. It's just the 8-year part that people are hesitant about. George, hello. The Sharks were clearly watching the intermission show as they did what Brody said and made the result more respectable. And I think, look, George, tonight to be down 4-0, to get it within 1, sure, that's more respectable. To tie it up would have been exhilarating. So it wasn't exhilarating. It was respectable. Although the empty netter at the end, what are you going to do? That's the risk you take, trying to score another one there. That probably changed the paint job of this final score. Brutus, let's be real. We all saw the L coming, but we got to put more pressure on offense and defense throughout the game than just a period. They did play a lot better than last night, though, that's for sure. I would agree, and I thought their first period was okay, down 0-2, but okay. I thought their third period obviously was better. There was some life there, was some push. I thought it was the second period tonight. And what did VL score with? He scored at 19:49. So literally in the last handful of seconds there, a majority of the second period was the Sharks' struggle point. And it was on that in two fronts, obviously allowing 2 goals, but having 2 power play opportunities and coming up completely empty-handed from those. What does anyone think Jake Middleton's value is on the current trade market? I'd say with the 2 recent trades that I would expect at least a third and a B-level prospect. I don't know what the expectation is for a Jake Middleton, but I'm also here to say I'm not so sure if you're the Sharks. I mean, you have the option of not trading him. And he's an RFA. He's arbitration eligible. So that's I know that makes him seem like more of a UFA, but he's still an RFA. If you're the Sharks and you're able to match, and yeah, I mean, you can probably keep this player almost entirely at this point. And I want to. Like, it's not, do it because it's easy. I like Jake Middleton. And I say this respectfully, a pleasant surprise to the Sharks team. Was not necessarily on my radar as a guy who was going to pair with Erik Karlsson and really have that chemistry and work out, but seems to be the case. Can do a lot of different things. So I would say keep Jake Middleton. And I'm also here to say that I hope Barabanov gets re-signed. And there's a Timo Meier contract to work out in the near future too. But let's remember that with the absence of Evander Kane, that was a $7 million a year contract. That's why that is a huge deal, because it opens up the door of flexibility now, to re-signing Hertl for 8. And the money that Hertl used to, what was he on, 4 or 5 million a year, something like that. It just offers more opportunity to retain the players that you want and hopefully go out and acquire some new ones. Christopher's quoting me here. If that Couture goal counts in the first, who knows how this game would have played out? I mean, did you think that was... Wait, did you say that before I said it, or did I actually say it? I mean, I think that's true. I think I did say that. I don't know if you were just quoting me for fun, but it does, like I said, it does set a different tone. At that point, also at the end of the game, right? And like I said, instead of getting within one, you're tying it late. Sharks handled the pressure well and didn't play bad, but scoring came on too late. Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Broden. So Broden is asking Brody a question. That's awesome. What do I think the Sharks will do at the trade deadline? Well, that time is quickly approaching. I mean, we're doing this now with about 2.5 days left. If people watch this on a replay, it's going to be even less hours until Monday afternoon. But I'm pretty sure that, well, I know Joe Will said the Sharks are going to be listeners. Not buyers, not sellers, but listeners. When you say selling, I don't think there's wholesale changes to be made here at the trade deadline for the Sharks, right? I do not expect, I would be shocked if there's a trade where you just drop your jaw. Like, what? I don't see that happening. It's possible, but I just don't see it. And certainly they're not buying. That's no question. They might acquire a player or two, but not from a super gain here, gain now type. It would be a prudent thing that they could do for little risk, little cost. Of course, they might consider doing something like that if it's the right opportunity. So I think it just might be a quiet deadline. They'll look back at the Hurdle signing as making a decision and planting their flag in the ground at one point, and that's probably what they're going to do. Again, predictions, everybody's got one. They're all usually wrong to some degree. But, I think the Sharks should maybe be more focused on trying to keep a Barabanov around. Trying to keep a Middleton around for next year than to necessarily, trade one of those guys or trade something like that for a pick or a player who may not even pan out for another 3-4 years. Now, if we're talking about this offseason, that's a different story. Trades, maneuvers there, that's totally different. But here at the deadline, and it's a late deadline, right? There's only 4+ weeks after the deadline of the regular season. So teams are not going to greatly benefit from their new acquisitions. I just don't know that the market right there is right here and right now is tremendous favoring the Sharks. So I think probably just lay low. See what else we get here. Current talk around the league says the Sharks are willing to trade Middleton to the Leafs for a 2nd-round pick. Do you see this happening? He's an RFA. 2nd round, probably. I wouldn't be shocked if that were pulled off or if that happened. But like I said, if you're the Sharks, what's the rush? What's your 2nd rounder going to turn out to be? Now you don't have Jake Middleton. What are you going to do with that? What's that say? You're going to wait 3 or 4 more years? If that's what you're doing, okay. It's not the worst move in the world at all. But I just, maybe I'm a little more urgent than that, And urgent to me is keeping Middleton. I don't know. Maybe that's a rare way of thinking. I'm not sure. Hello, Caker Girl. You said, unfortunately, you didn't get to watch the game tonight. You just saw the score and Balser's goal. Well, I could sum it up to you. Sharks were down 4-0. They scored 3. Then they allowed the last one, 5-3 final score. The Avs are a really good team. Sometimes you just got to look at that. Christopher, last 21, play the young kids. Yeah, they've done a lot of that, though. Last year, this year, the Sharks have debuted more rookies than any team in the league. See what else we got here in the Stephen Curry checking in. Wow, how is it your ankle, Steph? What's his ailment right now? I wasn't sure. I wasn't necessarily a vacation. I was literally in Arizona for about 30-something hours to do a little spring training coverage. In fact, last night at this time, I was landing in Oakland. It's been a whirlwind. I probably shouldn't even be doing this stream right now. Let's see here. What other... Tony says, ruling out Evander Kane, obviously. The Sharks should get some scoring through 2 UFAs this summer. They lack wingers and scoring. Get a proper winger for Logan. DeBrusque, Boston would be good too. And I mean, I think the thing is, if you're gonna hypothetically add to the Sharks, if you're gonna take some of that salary cap money and spend it, is it on forwards? Is the defense solid and locked up? Is it robust enough for the future? I think, this is what you want to learn, right, in these final 21 games. Is your defense solid enough? I honestly think it has been on a lot of occasions. The scoring ruts have happened with this team too frequent. So I probably agree with that. Alden, hello, good to see you. Play the youngins. Give the guys who've been injured extra time to completely heal up. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know that's the number one thing that most teams do. I just feel like if you're the Sharks, have you done that enough, or is it at what cost? Let's say you play, you bring as many young guys up as possible, but then some are exposed and some don't pan out, and they don't do it just to do it. Do it if they earn it, right? And that's their reward, is to stay there. But I know what you're saying. Nicholas was at the game. Hello. Glad you're here on the live stream. Calculator says Hertl's best hockey is ahead of him. Good deal to lock down a talented forward. I'll just say this about Tomas Hertl. It was not long ago. I mean, literally 2 years ago, we were looking at him saying, well, can he play center, or is he just a winger in this league? I mean, now there's no question. He's an all-star. He could be a 30-plus goal scorer again this year. This is a player who, I agree. I think if you're measuring a prime, if you're measuring best hockey, yeah, he's probably approaching that. I don't think it's happened to him at all. He's been around for so long. He came to this team when he was so young. It's deceiving. He's not a young guy anymore, but he's not an old guy. He's literally about to approach what I think is the best hockey and the best numbers for him. So, Kevin LeBanc is the Sharks' only right shooting forward. He's been hurt since January. They need 3 more right wingers. It matters for passing and play on the boards. Tony going old school there. But yeah, I mean, certainly a lot of lefties. Burns wasn't the only one fumbling passes at the end. I feel like saying a few fumbled passes there, but at least for me, he stood out. Let's see what we got here. Colorado is a flippin' scary team. I would have to agree with that. Let's see what else we got here in the chat. Oh my gosh, Felix. Couture gives up the C? Do you know my domain name, LoganCoutureFanClub.com, Felix? No, in all seriousness, I don't know that the Sharks are at that type of turmoil. I don't know that that's a... I know you're just thinking hypothetical too. All right. I think... Ooh, Broden, I like your comment here. Very excited for a Timo Hertl Eklund line next year. Bruce coming in with a hot take. Erik Karlsson would swoop up the captaincy. What does this mean if Cooch gave up the captaincy? What do you mean give it up? Weed and wrestling. Mr. Brazil, do you realize there are a bunch of YouTubers using a template with your face in the bottom right corner? talking with random scenes in the background over a random audio track. Could you link me to that? Can I, does anybody else know what we're talking about here? What Weed and Wrestling is talking about here? Can I see that? Can I see that right now? I'll play it on here if that's the case. I know this is the last thing I'm gonna do in the live chat, because now I'm I'm tired. I gotta go, but I'm really curious about this. I know there's a little bit of a delay here on the stream, so I'll wait for it for a second. But what are we talking about here? Bunch of YouTubers using a template with your face in the bottom right corner, talking with random scenes in the background over a random audio track. Somebody send me a link, please. You know, the other thing is when I came up here, pretty sure I had my pen with me, and now I can't find it. And the whole live stream I've been frustrated because I don't know where the pen actually is. Well, I don't think I dropped it anywhere. I'll find it. Yes, give me a few minutes to find a video to link you. You're going to have to give me a temporary wrench. What? Temporary wrench? Oh, you mean like a moderator wrench? I think you could post a link in here, can't you? Well, I'll tell you what. If I end this video, I'm going to probably end it soon. Put it in the comments section of this video, right? So later I can check it out. I know you can do that. I've got to see this. Is it a bot thing? Are there bots out there? Anyway. All right, that's going to do it, I think. Sorry, Weed and Wrestling. I mean, I'm really curious about this, but just put it in the comments and I'll check it out later. I'll do a separate video on that, I promise. I really promise. All right. Whoops. Nope. I'm so tired I can't even end the live stream. Summarizing tonight, Sharks were on paper like they were not supposed to win this game. They were not supposed to be in this game. Down 4-0, make it 4-3. Should have scored more on the power play. Sawchenko wasn't that bad. Back-to-back games in 2 nights. Not an excuse, but reality of the situation. So now you get tomorrow off, the rare Saturday off for Team Teal, and then the Desert Dogs. I should come up with my Desert Dog sound effect on here. Yeah. Sharks should be primed for a couple wins here. 21 games left in the regular season. If you're not going to make the playoffs, make a statement. Oh, I like that. You know what? That's a great ending. I'm going to use that from now on. If you're not going to make the playoffs, make a statement. All right. Good night, everybody.